I was 28 years old when I learned that blood doesn't always mean loyalty, and family can sometimes be your cruelest betrayer. The house on Maple Street had been my sanctuary for 3 years. After my divorce from Marcus, when I had nowhere else to go and my credit was destroyed from his gambling debts, Mom had opened her door. "Come home, sweetheart," she'd said, her voice warm through the phone. "We'll figure this out together." And we did figure it out. I moved into my childhood bedroom, the one with the faded butterfly wallpaper I'd picked out at age 12. Within a month, I'd found a job as a senior accountant at Morrison & Associates. Within 6 months, I'd earned a promotion, and within a year, I'd started contributing to the mortgage. It began small, $500 here, $800 there. Mom was on a fixed income from her administrative job at the school district, and the house payment was $2,400 a month. According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. Dad had died 7 years earlier, leaving her with the mortgage and not much else. She never asked me for money, but I could see the stress lines deepening around her eyes as she sorted through bills at the kitchen table. "Let me help," I'd said one evening, sliding into the chair across from her. She'd looked up, surprised. "Oh, honey, you don't have to." "I want to. I'm living here rent-free. Let me contribute." That first $500 had felt good. It felt like responsibility, like being an adult, like repaying the woman who'd given me life and a second chance at stability. By the second year, I was paying half the mortgage. By the third year, I was paying it all, along with utilities, groceries, and most of the home repairs. Mom had cut back her hours at work, citing stress and fatigue. She was only 56, but she seemed to age rapidly that year. I'd taken her to doctors who found nothing physically wrong. "Maybe early retirement would be good for you," I'd suggested. She'd smiled gratefully and reduced her schedule even more. I didn't mind. The house was peaceful. I'd turned the basement into my home office, working remotely 3 days a week. I'd renovated the guest bathroom with my own money. I'd replaced the roof after a winter storm, paying the $8,000 bill without blinking. This was my home too, or so I thought. Then Vanessa called. My older sister by 4 years, Vanessa had always been the golden child. Prettier, more charming, more everything. She'd married a successful real estate developer named Chad, moved to California, and lived a life that looked perfect on social media. Beach photos, wine tastings, Mediterranean cruises. We talked maybe 3 times a year, stilted conversations where she'd mention her latest vacation, and I'd politely comment on her Instagram posts. "I'm going through a really rough time," she'd sobbed into the phone that Tuesday evening in March. "Chad and I are separating. I need family right now. I need Mom." "I'm sorry to hear that," I'd said carefully. "Are you okay?" I need to come home for a while, just until I figure things out. Would that be okay?" Something in my chest tightened. "Well, it's Mom's house. You should ask her." "I already did. She said yes. I'm flying out next week." That was my first warning sign. She'd asked Mom before even mentioning it to me. Vanessa arrived on a Thursday with 7 suitcases, a Pomeranian named Duchess, and an attitude of wounded nobility. She swept into the house like a tragic heroine, embracing Mom in the foyer while I watched from the kitchen doorway. "Oh, Mom, thank you so much for taking me in during this difficult time," she said, loud enough for me to hear. "I don't know what I'd do without family." Mom patted her back. "Of course, sweetheart. You're always welcome here." Vanessa's eyes met mine over Mom's shoulder. There was something in that gaze, something cold and calculating that I couldn't quite name. "Hey, Jenna," she said, releasing Mom and air-kissing near my cheek. "Thanks for being okay with this." "I wasn't asked," I replied evenly. Well, it is Mom's house, she said, echoing my own words back at me with a small smile. The first week was manageable. Vanessa took my old room, the one with the butterfly wallpaper that I'd long since moved out of, and I stayed in the master bedroom that I'd been using since Mom had downsized to the smaller guest room. Vanessa spent her days on the phone with her lawyer, her voice carrying through the house as she complained about Chad's betrayal, his secret girlfriend, the prenup she'd stupidly signed. I felt sympathy for her. I'd been through divorce. I knew the pain of betrayal. By the second week, things shifted. Vanessa started making comments. "You're still working from home? Must be nice to not have a real commute. Wow, you're making salmon again? Mom and I were thinking pizza might be nice. Do you really need to take up the whole basement? I was thinking of setting up a yoga studio down there." I ignored the jabs. She was hurting. She was lashing out. It would pass. The third week, Mom started acting differently around me. She stopped asking about my day. When Vanessa and I were both in the room, she'd direct all her attention to my sister. They started having inside jokes, laughing together in the kitchen while I worked in the basement. They'd watch movies together in the evening, curled up on the couch, while I sat in the armchair feeling like an intruder. "Maybe we should have a sister night," I suggested once. "We could order takeout, watch something together." Vanessa and I already made plans, Mom said absently. Maybe another time. Another time never came. The breaking point arrived on a Sunday morning in late April. I came upstairs from my basement office to find Mom and Vanessa sitting at the kitchen table, serious expressions on their faces. The mortgage bill lay between them, the one I'd paid in full 2 days earlier, as I had for the past 18 months. "Jenna, sit down," Mom said. "We need to talk." My stomach dropped. "About what?" Vanessa spoke first. "About the living situation here." I looked between them. "What about it?" Mom cleared her throat. "Honey, Vanessa is going through a really difficult time. She needs space and support right now. And, well, this house is getting a bit crowded." "Crowded?" I interrupted. "It's a 4-bedroom house." "Let me finish," Mom said, her voice sharp in a way I'd never heard directed at me. "Vanessa needs stability right now. She needs her family. And you're in a much better position than she is. You have a good job. You're independent." "What are you saying?" My voice came out barely above a whisper. Vanessa leaned forward, her expression sympathetic in a way that made my skin crawl. "We think it might be better if you found your own place, just for a while, until I get back on my feet." The words hung in the air like poison. "You're kicking me out." It wasn't a question. "Nobody's kicking anyone out," Mom said quickly. "We're just asking you to give your sister some space. Maybe get an apartment nearby. You can afford it, and I'm paying the mortgage on this house." The words exploded out of me. "I've been paying it for over a year. I paid for the new roof, the bathroom renovation, And we're very grateful," Vanessa said smoothly. "But that doesn't mean you can hold it over Mom's head. This is still her house." I stared at my mother. "Is that what you think? That I'm holding it over your head?" Mom wouldn't meet my eyes. "I think you're being selfish right now. Your sister needs us." "What about what I needed?" My voice cracked. "When Marcus destroyed my credit and I had nowhere to go, you said we'd figure it out together. You said—" "That was different," Mom interrupted. "You were in crisis. But you're fine now. Vanessa is the one in crisis." "So I should just leave? The house I've been paying for?" "It's not your house," Vanessa said coldly, dropping the sympathetic act. "It's Mom's house. You've just been living here, and frankly, you've been pretty ungrateful about it. Mom has been kind enough to let you stay here all this time, and this is how you repay her? By making her feel guilty for wanting to help her other daughter?" I felt like I'd been slapped. "I want you out by the end of the month." Mom said quietly. "I'm sorry, Jenna, but that's my decision." I looked at my mother, the woman who'd braided my hair for school, who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd held me while I cried over my divorce, and saw a stranger. "Fine," I said. "I'll be gone by the end of the week." I stood up and walked back down to the basement, my legs shaking. Behind me, I heard Vanessa's voice, light and cheerful. "Thanks, Mom. This is really going to help me heal." That night, I lay in bed and let myself feel the full weight of the betrayal. Then I did what I do best. I started planning. The next morning, I called my bank. Then I called a real estate attorney. Then I called a moving company. By Tuesday, I'd found a small but beautiful apartment across town. 1 bedroom, hardwood floors, a view of the park. I signed the lease and wrote a check for first and last month's rent plus deposit. It hurt my savings, but I'd been careful with money since the divorce. I could afford it. Wednesday, I began documenting everything. I pulled up 3 years of bank statements and highlighted every payment I'd made toward the mortgage, utilities, repairs, and groceries. The total made my stomach turn, $127,000. Over 3 years, I'd paid $127,000 toward a house I had no legal claim to. Thursday, I met with the attorney, Martha Keene, a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s who'd been recommended by a colleague. "Do I have any legal recourse?" I asked, sliding my documentation across her desk. She reviewed it carefully, her expression neutral. "Was there any written agreement about your contributions?" "No, I was just helping my mother." "Did she ever promise you ownership or equity?" "No, but she never asked me to leave either, not until now." Martha tapped her pen against the papers. "Unfortunately, without a written agreement, you have no legal claim to the house or your contributions. You were essentially paying rent, though an exorbitant amount. However, you can stop paying immediately. And given the amount you've been contributing, the sudden stop will create a significant financial hardship for your mother. She'll have to cover the full mortgage herself, on her reduced income. What if she can't? Then she'll default on the loan. Eventually, the house will go into foreclosure if she can't make payments." I sat back in my chair. I don't want to hurt her. I just want her to understand what she's done. Martha's expression softened. "Then my advice is this: stop paying, move out, and let reality be your revenge. Don't be cruel. Don't be vindictive. Just let her experience the natural consequences of her decision." Friday morning, I canceled the automatic mortgage payment. I called the utility companies and removed my name from the accounts. I transferred the home insurance back to Mom's name only. Then I started packing. Vanessa watched me from the doorway of the master bedroom, Duchess tucked under her arm. "Moving out already? That was fast." "You wanted space," I said, not looking up from the box I was filling. "You're getting it." "Don't be dramatic. You'll be fine." I stopped and looked at her directly. "I know I'll be fine. Question is, will you?" Something flickered in her eyes. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing, just that I hope your healing goes well." She frowned but didn't push it. She wandered away, probably to complain to Mom about my attitude. Saturday morning, the movers arrived. Mom came out of her bedroom looking concerned. "You're really leaving?" "You asked me to." "I thought maybe we could talk about it more, maybe work something out." "There's nothing to work out," I said calmly. "You made your decision. I'm respecting it." "But the mortgage—" She stopped abruptly. I waited. "What about the mortgage?" "Nothing. Never mind." She just realized. I could see it dawning on her face, the understanding that I'd been paying it, and now I wouldn't be. "Jenna, wait. Maybe we should discuss— The movers are here. I need to go." Vanessa appeared at the top of the stairs. "Have a good life, little sister. Maybe visit sometime." I didn't respond. I walked out the door and didn't look back. The first 2 weeks in my new apartment were peaceful. I focused on settling in, rearranging furniture, establishing new routines. I ignored my phone when Mom called. I deleted Vanessa's text messages without reading them. I was done. 3 weeks after I moved out, Mom started leaving voicemails. "Jenna, honey, please call me back. We need to talk about some bills." "Jenna, I don't understand why the mortgage didn't come out of my account like usual. Did you forget to pay it?" "Jenna, this isn't funny. Please call me." I didn't call. 4 weeks after I left, Vanessa called from Mom's phone. "Jenna, it's Vanessa. Look, I think there's been some kind of mistake. The mortgage didn't get paid last month, and now there's a late fee, and Mom is really stressed. Can you please just take care of it like usual?" I hung up. She called back immediately. This time, I answered. "Let me be very clear," I said. "I don't live there anymore. I'm not paying for a house I don't live in. Figure it out yourselves. But I always paid because I lived there, and it was the right thing to do. You wanted me gone. I'm gone. The financial support is gone too. You can't just—" "I absolutely can. Goodbye, Vanessa." I blocked her number. 6 weeks after I moved out, Mom showed up at my apartment. She'd gotten the address somehow, probably from the moving company. I opened the door to find her standing there, looking smaller than I remembered, her eyes red-rimmed. "Can I come in?" I hesitated, then stepped aside. She sat on my couch and looked around at my apartment. "This is nice." "Thank you. Jenna, I made a mistake." I sat in the armchair across from her. "Which mistake are we talking about?" "Asking you to leave. I didn't realize—" She stopped, swallowed. "I didn't understand how much you were contributing. I thought you were just helping out a little. I didn't know you were paying everything." "I was paying the mortgage, the utilities, the repairs, most of the groceries. For over a year, Mom. You never asked because you didn't want to know." "I'm so sorry." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Vanessa told me. She said you were holding it over my head, that you were making me feel guilty. She made it sound like I was the problem." She nodded miserably. "And you believed her. Your daughter, who shows up every few years for holidays, believed her over me. The daughter who's been there, who's been helping, who's been paying." I know, and I'm so sorry." We sat in silence for a moment. "The mortgage is due again next week," she finally said. "I can't afford it, not on my income. I've cut back my hours so much, and I don't know if I can—" "So increase your hours." She blinked. "What?" "You cut back your hours because I was covering everything. So increase them again. Go back to full time." "I can't. I'm too tired. You're 56 years old, Mom, not 86. You're tired because you got used to not having to work as hard, because I made it easy for you. And the moment Vanessa asked you to choose, you chose her." "That's not fair, isn't it?" I leaned forward. "I'm not angry about the money, Mom. I'm angry about the choice. When I needed you, you were there, and I've been grateful every single day. But when Vanessa needed you, you threw me away. You didn't even ask me how I felt. You just told me to leave." She was crying harder now. "What do I do?" "You have options. Sell the house and downsize. Get a roommate, rent out rooms, ask Vanessa to contribute. Her divorce settlement should be coming through soon, right?" Mom looked uncomfortable. "She says Chad's hiding assets. It could take months. Then she needs to get a job. She's going through a hard time." "So was I." The words came out louder than I intended. "So was I, and I still worked. I still contributed. I still showed up." Mom wiped her eyes. "Will you come back?" "No." "Will you help with the mortgage?" "No." "Jenna, please, I'm your mother." "And I'm your daughter. But you taught me that blood doesn't guarantee loyalty. You taught me that when someone asks you to choose between your children, you pick the one who's more convenient, who's more tragic, who makes you feel more needed. I stood up, a signal that this conversation was over. I don't want you to lose the house, Mom, but I'm not saving you from this. You made a choice. Live with it. She stood too, looking lost. I don't know if I can. Then sell it. Vanessa gets her space. You get financial freedom. Everyone wins. But it's my home. It was my home too. She left shortly after, her shoulders hunched in defeat. 2 months after I moved out, I heard through a mutual friend that Mom had put the house on the market. She couldn't afford the payments, and Vanessa still hadn't contributed a dime. The divorce settlement was tied up in litigation, exactly as predicted, and Vanessa had started making noises about moving back to California as soon as it was resolved. 3 months later, the house sold for $485,000. After paying off the remaining mortgage and covering realtor fees, Mom cleared about $180,000. She bought a small condo near the school where she worked and took a roommate to help with expenses. Vanessa moved out immediately, claiming she'd gotten a job offer in San Diego that was too good to pass up. I heard all of this secondhand. I still wasn't taking their calls. 4 months after I moved out, Mom showed up at my apartment again. This time, she looked different, clearer-eyed, standing straighter. "I'm not here to ask for anything," she said when I opened the door. "I just want to apologize. Really apologize." I let her in. "I've been in therapy," she said, sitting in the same spot on my couch. "After the house sold, after everything fell apart, I realized I needed help understanding why I did what I did. And I realized I'd been taking advantage of you, not consciously, but I let myself become dependent on you financially and emotionally. And when Vanessa showed up needing me, it felt good to be needed that way. She made me feel important. You made me feel—" She paused. "You made me feel guilty. Because you were doing so much, and I wasn't doing anything. So instead of feeling grateful, you resented me." "Yes." She said it simply, without defense. "And I'm so sorry. What I did was cruel. It was selfish. You deserved so much better." I felt something loosen in my chest. "I can't pay you back the money you put into the house," she continued, "but I want you to have this." She pulled an envelope from her purse. "It's $50,000. It's not nearly enough, but it's what I can afford from the house sale after setting myself up in the condo." I took the envelope, feeling its weight. "I don't expect forgiveness," Mom said. "I don't expect a relationship. I just wanted you to know that I understand what I did, and I'm sorry." We talked for an hour. She told me about her therapy, about recognizing patterns of taking the easy way out, about how she'd let Vanessa manipulate her. She told me about going back to full-time work and how exhausting but good it felt. She told me she was learning to stand on her own feet. I didn't forgive her that day. Maybe I never fully would, but I understood. 6 months after I moved out, Vanessa called from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer. "What do you want?" "I wanted to apologize." I laughed. "Really? I was awful to you. I knew what I was doing. I was angry at Chad, angry at my life falling apart, and I took it out on you. And I used Mom to do it." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I'm in therapy too, and I'm trying to make amends. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know that I know I was wrong." Okay. I appreciate the apology. I'm not ready to have you in my life, but I appreciate it." There was a long pause. "Fair enough. Take care of yourself, Jenna." "You too." 1 year after I moved out, I was promoted to senior manager at my firm. I celebrated by buying new furniture for my apartment and adopting a cat I named Justice. A little on the nose, but it made me smile. Mom and I had dinner once a month. The relationship was different now, more careful, with clearer boundaries. She never asked me for money. I never offered. We were learning to be mother and daughter without the financial entanglement that had complicated everything. I saw Vanessa once at Thanksgiving dinner and tea on Mom's condo. It was awkward but civil. She'd moved back to California and was dating someone new. She seemed smaller somehow, less golden. Or maybe I was just seeing her clearly for the first time. The thing about revenge is that it's rarely as satisfying as you think it will be. I hadn't set out to destroy anyone. I'd simply stopped enabling bad behavior and let natural consequences unfold. My mom losing the house hadn't made me happy. Seeing her struggle hadn't brought me joy, but it had taught all of us something important. That love without respect is worthless, that family requires reciprocity, and that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let people fall so they can learn to stand on their own. I'd learned something too. I'd learned that I was stronger than I thought, that I could walk away from people who didn't value me, even when it hurt, that I could build a life on my own terms. The house on Maple Street was gone now, occupied by a young family with 2 kids and a golden retriever. I drove past it sometimes, feeling nothing. It wasn't my home anymore. Maybe it never really had been. My home was the apartment with the park view, the one I'd chosen and paid for myself, the one where nobody could tell me to leave, where nobody took my contributions for granted, where I was free to be exactly who I was. Some people might say I should have been more forgiving. That family is forever. That blood is thicker than water. But the full saying is, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. The bonds we choose are stronger than the ones we're born into. I'd chosen to walk away. And in doing so, I'd chosen myself. That, I realized, was the best revenge of all.